MC. At that point, nobody would notice that you would become anything, Honorable Speaker. Fast forward, in the recent visit by His Excellency the President to Washington, D.C., I was privileged to accompany His Excellency the President. And while in the White House, that tall, slender lady, very beautiful, approached me again and told me, "You remember me?" I told her I couldn't. I mean, I can't remember you. Then she told me, "If you don't mind, we perhaps could have some, omogusi delicacy today at the Swahili restaurant in Washington, D.C. She treated us alongside Honorable Pio Wandayi, who was then the minority leader, for dinner, and now CS, Honorable Speaker, over dinner. And it's at that point, Honorable Speaker, that she told us that she's going for that seat. In fact, if Honorable Pio was to be here today, he would have told you that nobody saw it coming, because the way she expressed her interest and with simplicity, you wouldn't imagine that at the end of the day she will garner, shows that no person is limited. We all have something that you can achieve. We all have some self-drive that really drives us towards achieving something. But what stood out yesterday, Honorable Speaker, when she was being interviewed by one of the local media houses, Honorable Speaker, is that she still speaks in Swahili and she still speaks in Ekegusi. That in itself, Honorable Speaker, is quite, appealing. When we have people who go to study in India, Honorable Speaker, when they come back, it's funny. When people go to the US, they come back with American accent. But when people go to India, they refuse to own the Indian accent of speaking in English. It is usually very funny. But even then, even with that very heavy accent, Honorable Speaker, she still speaks very well in Ekegusi language, owning that identity. That is something very commendable, Honorable Speaker, and that shows, Honorable Speaker, that we need to appreciate our cultures, we need to own up to where we've come and our history and our ties. And what I'll tell Honorable Speaker is that the sky is the limit. I see the first female president of the United States of America in Honorable Huldah Momanyi. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
The Honorable Donya Doris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For clarity, yes, I'm a Kenyan, but it is good to be proud of your language. Huldah Momanyi is Kisi, yes. Born in Nyamira, yes. Omogusi. Yes. If you hear of Huldah, the name Heslel, that is for the husband, but Momanyi is Kisi. Then she reminds us of the likes of Maraga, former Chief Justice, Senior Chief, the late Simeon Nyachae. Those are Kisses. We are just proud. Kenyans, nothing is out of order when you recognize your people, Mr. Speaker. It is not wrong. We are proud to say we are Kenyans. The only thing, as I stand to appraise Huldah, is just to say, despite having these beautiful leaders, having good schools in Kisii, like Nyambaria High, which was leading in the last KCSE, let me just say, we lack water, we lack electricity, so that when Huldah will be coming, maybe she might have a donation for us, for our people, to have boreholes. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, it is good when you get this opportunity. Fix something small for your people. So we are very happy. We danced the whole night. And in fact, now I'm urging Kisii women to have more babies and name them Huldah. So, honorable male members, Honorable Soro, you work hard so that your mother in the house can produce Huldah. More girls.
We will allow the compliments to be recorded in not more than 2 minutes. Except for the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, who will speak next for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to congratulate our very eloquent and intelligent lady in the US. And Honorable Speaker, this goes to show that the human capital in Kenya is actually the best in the world. When you travel even outside of Kenya, in any region of the world, you are likely to get the best professionals, being the people of Kenya. And not just in politics, Honorable Speaker. If you go, for example, across Africa, everywhere we have had resets of economies, even Rwanda. Currently, if you go to Ethiopia, they are setting up their financial market. You find that it is the Kenyan people who are doing that. But, Honorable Speaker, even on that, I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the President-elect, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. The reason why, Honorable Speaker, if you go through history, Republicans are always better in terms of policies in regards to Kenya, in regards to Africa, and the entire global South. Because, Honorable Speaker, what the global South economies we need, like Kenya, is not tokenism. What we want is a thriving economy of the world. And that only happens, Honorable Speaker, when the US is responding. And I want to be empirical. The previous administration, Honorable Speaker, they have had to raise the Fed rate, the interest rates in the Federal Reserve, for 11 times consecutively, from barely 0 to 0.05% to 5.25%, Honorable Speaker. This may sound like jargons, but the ramifications are here in this parliament. When we are allocating money, and we find we are allocating a lot of money for debt, some of this money we allocate for debt service, that when the economy of the world sneezes or coughs, the other economies catch cold. And I want to believe that going forward, the United States will be more responsible in exercise of their power, and especially given the fact that their currency is the global reserve. And, Honorable Speaker, the same reason we saw yesterday, after the win, we saw the markets across the world responding. We saw Dow Jones, we saw all the global markets responding positively, because every person in the world knows that Republicans are better for the economy of the world, are better for the global South, and we look for very good.
Why did you disconnect Honorable Ndindi Nyoro when talking about Trump?
Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, I was just trying to say, history, we say that the laboratory of economics is history. And the only place to see how things work is to look at how they have worked before. If you compare democratic regimes in terms of the Democrats and the Republican regimes, you find that when there are Republicans in power in the US, the economies of the global South perform better. And the more the reason, because this is known, that we see, Honorable Speaker, after the win by the Republicans, we saw a response, a positive response in the markets in the US and across the world. But there is only one pitfall, Honorable Speaker, as I finish. Again, when there is sentiments of a strengthening economy in the US, we'll have a tendency of dollar becoming stronger. Unfortunately, when the dollar becomes stronger, it means it is in respect to other currencies. But I want to report to this House, even looking at the tendency of our Kenya shillings against the greenback from yesterday, it shows the Kenyan fundamentals have been grounded, and the more the reason we have seen, even when the dollar is strengthening, our shilling is also strengthening. And lastly, we also hope the United States will also not bring about a lot of economic wars, and especially with China. We do not expect to see the kind of tariff wars, because they also affect our economies. So we expect that going forward, we'll see sunshine, where the same US economy have poured cold water in the economies. We foresee, Honorable Speaker, that going forward, we will have warmth in the economies like Kenya, and we'll see progress across all the economies of the world. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chair, Budget Appropriations Committee. The Honorable Jerusha Mumanyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, so that I can also celebrate this brilliant girl who is called Hulda Nyamitsa is another name because I know she comes from my village. She's called Nyamisa Momanyi. And you also know that I am Momanyi Jerusha. That means we share that name from the same parents. I want to congratulate this girl because she has brought our name now to the top notch that we are not even able to explain. We are so happy. The people of Nyamira are so happy. The people of Kenya are so happy. Mr. Speaker, what is out of order?
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Soro, please, it is my time.
Point of
Mr.
order.
Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I really appreciate the ownership of that very name by the Honorable Jerusha, the name Momanyi. But is she in order to say that they share the parents with the Honorable Uda? I really doubt, Honorable Speaker. What I know is that it is actually a clan name and very common name in Gusii, and it really is not a preserve of the Honorable Jerusha Momanyi. They are not related. They just come from the same area, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable Soro, for the avoidance of doubt, in Africa we don't have cousins.
Yeah, we
are
don't.
brothers and sisters. So continue, Honorable Jerusha Momanyi.
Sure, Honorable Speaker, thank you for informing your Soro. Soro should know that whoever is called your name and who comes from your village, that's your sister or your brother. I'm so grateful that Hulda
Give Honorable Jerusha Momanyi 1 minute to conclude. This is her sister. She's talking
about. We are so happy. That is why Osoro is also excited like I am excited. I want to urge every Kenyan who is living anywhere in this world to come up and ask for elective posts because we have been proven as Kenyans and as Nyamirans that we are so happy and we know how to do the work. Wherever we have been given the job, we do. It is because of the hard work of Hulda, because of high resilience and the love that she had for his people. That's why she has been elected. We wish her the best. We wish her success as she moves along, and we know from her we have the future president. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Anthony.
Opportunity to also get to congratulate my sister Hulda Momanyi. Hulda Momanyi is an excellent community leader who understands that leadership is not about taking advantage of people, but making a difference right where you are, right where you are planted. She is the immediate former chair lady of the Mwanyagetinge community group in Minnesota, in Brooklyn Park. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when I visited Minnesota some time back, Honorable Speaker, I got a chance to be introduced to this wonderful lady by a gentleman called Sammy Berry. And it is in that time that this lady was again preparing to run for a seat around Brooklyn Park, where she wasn't successful. And because of her resilience and her determination, she has gotten an opportunity to be elected. And I believe this wonderful lady, who has consistently shifted from seeking societal legitimacy or validation to constructing what I can call a meaningful legacy through bringing together the Kenyan communities living in Minnesota and the African communities. We have a lot of Liberians, we have a lot of people from Somali, and the Kenyan community there that he has put together to fight for their rights. So we appreciate her, and we hope this wonderful lady will go on to become an even a bigger star and rise even.
The Honorable Beatrice Elachi.
Allow me also to ride on and to appreciate Honorable Mayaka for just allowing us to celebrate a Kenyan lady, Hulda, Mr. Speaker, who has also broken a record that she vied on a party of Democratic Farmer Labor Party. I just want to tell her, you went the Kenyan way, which is an affiliate of the Democrats Party, Mr. Speaker. But to really say that this is one lady who also was against a librarian woman, it shows the resilience of the immigrants and that they are committed to build America and make America great. And I am hoping President Trump will be able to appreciate Africa, that he will look in his eyes and realize we are people who love people the way the Republicans do. And so for me, as she goes into the Congress with her values of equitable in housing, access to health, that we shall see a good policy on reproductive health from the Republicans, and that they will remember the embassy that we have now, where many Kenyans have gone and suffered at the embassy. And we need to have a policy, Speaker, that says if indeed I'm not going to get my visa, then they can charge us consultancy. And I'm hoping the Republicans will do that and refund people money the way we have lost money at the embassy of the US. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Japhet Nyakundi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to take this opportunity to ride on Honorable Mayaka in congratulating Hulda Momanyi in being elected in the House of Representatives in Minnesota, to be specific, Minneapolis. Everything is fine. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate him, and to congratulate him most sincerely, because this clearly shows that women have space in leadership. And this clearly shows that the Kenyan labor market is workable outside this country. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate her and tell the women of this country that you have a space in leadership wherever you are. Come out as women leaders, come out as women in society to ask for leadership positions, because I believe that women are the best leaders outside here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
The Honorable Catherine Omanyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am here just to celebrate, because when you look at her photo, she looks like me. Yes. And she is so daring, being a black woman, being black and being a woman, and an immigrant, making it in the United States. I hope when Trump says he is going to deport people, he is not going to deport our Hulda. Otherwise, there will be trouble. The whole world will stop, because racism in today's world should not be encouraged. So I hope by her being elected in that parliament, she is going to calm Trump, so Trump cannot do whatever he said. Yes. Two, I want to also say
Osoro, what is out of order?
That Osoro just wants to interfere.
Sit, take your seat.
Honorable Speaker, is the honorable member in order to impute improper motives on the president-elect of the United States of America, the 45th and the 47th president, President Trump, elected by the majority, who's won all the seats in all levels? Is she in order to impute improper motive that he wants to deport and intends to deport Hulda? I mean, can she table evidence? It is not possible. In fact, if it was Kamala, she would have deported Hulda.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Catherine Omanyo, remember the United States of America is a friendly nation.
Trump's policy, one of the policy, was to deport immigrants. I am only quoting what President Trump said. It is in his policy. I beg Honorable Soro to go and read
the policy of President Trump
is to deport immigrants.
Is to deport illegal immigrants, not all immigrants. Least of all. No president of the United States can deport.
Is a Kenyan who happens to have gone abroad and gotten elected. So let us all celebrate as Kenyans.
Minority Whip, the nature of this engagement does not allow any more point of order. The Honorable Dido Raso, you want to say something in recognition of this excellence?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I join my colleagues in congratulating Hilda. In fact, last year in October, that is 2023, we visited the Minnesota State Parliament, and she was among those who conducted us. Actually, for the first time, we were able to see firsthand that the three arms of government can sit in the same building. And also, during that time, we were told that she was working closely with the governor of that state. She has broken the glass ceiling because per se she's not an American. She is a Kenyan American. And for her to discover those new horizons, then it means it is not a mean feat. It is a great achievement. So we congratulate her. She is not a Kenyan. Now she is an American. So thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, because the Honorable Chepkonga is engaged, I want to give, so do so in the shortest time possible. After that, we are going to the statement by the Honorable Mulyungi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am speaking for and on behalf of Honorable Makilap. There's nothing, you are not biased. I am speaking on his behalf.
Did I hear a member to shout that the presiding officer is biased?
No, you are not biased.
Could that member have the courage to stand when the speaker is up and say so? Yeah, the speaker is never biased. The speaker is an impartial, neutral, presiding officer of the House. Yes. Honorable Chepkonga will be heard in silence.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can you protect me from Honorable Makilap and Honorable Mili? You know, Honorable Mili, she's a very good lawyer, and she should maintain that integrity. You don't want to lose it.
Honorable Chepkonga will be heard in silence.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, may I take this opportunity to congratulate Representative Hilda Momanyi. You know, I see people calling honorable. She's called Representative Hilda Momanyi. Mr. Speaker, you know, this tells you that the American dream is real. It is the land of the opportunity, where a Kenyan would go to the US and be elected. Mr. Speaker, I just want to remind you that the first Kenyan American president, Barack Obama, was elected the 43rd president of the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, I was in Minnesota, the twin city of Minnesota and Minneapolis in 1997. I was there for 5 weeks. At that time, Mr. Speaker, I was taken around by the Kisii community. At that time, Mr. Speaker, there were over 10,000 cases about 27 years ago. Mr. Speaker, and you know they were giving birth. So as we speak today, there must be in the region of 50,000. So electing a House of Representative person is easy, Mr. Speaker. And we want to congratulate those cases who live in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Mr. Speaker. It is a very nice city for those who have never gone there. When there is winter, you don't need to come out of
Give Honorable Chepkonga 1 minute to be done, because I know he was easily distracted by the minority whip.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it. Mr. Speaker, when I visited that city, in fact, it was during winter, and you can walk around in Minnesota without coming down. You're walking on the ground. There are routes which have been created from one building to the other. And Mr. Speaker, it is indeed a very modern city. And for one of our own to be elected in a first-class city like that one, Mr. Speaker, we truly are very grateful. Two, Mr. Speaker, as you know, Minnesota is a twin city. Is a twin city with Eldoret City, Mr. Speaker. Before we became a city, we were already having a relationship with Minnesota. So as, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I studied in University of Nairobi. So, you know, Honorable Millie should know, the only university that we had is the University of Nairobi. And Mr. Speaker, no problem. You went to the American University. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I want to congratulate the Honorable Momanyi. We don't want even to use the first name. We want to use the second name, Representative Momanyi. That, you know, that name itself, and coming from USA, Mr. Speaker, that is a feat. Now, I also want to congratulate Donald Trump. You know, Mr. Speaker, these are people who don't support LGBTQ like you and myself. Mr. Speaker, these are the group who are a problem. These are the group who are a problem. In fact, it is good that Trump won, so that Honorable Museveni, President Museveni, may have a breathing space, and their law becomes active in their country, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I want us to go to the statement of Honorable Owen. We want to go into main business. You know, when you stand as a leader, the speaker has difficulties sitting you down. Can you make your statement in not more than 2 minutes? Because we want to go to main business.
I will do that. Honorable Speaker, I want to join to congratulate Hulda, who I met in Texas when we went there. And she's a fine lady, and she will carry the Kenyan flag high, and we wish her all the best. But I think it goes to that point, Honorable Speaker. She may have no influence at all on what happens in this country. She's been elected in a state legislature, not in the Congress of the United States. So her value is more to the people of Minnesota and Minneapolis, and therefore we need just to speak as much. You know, we are building hype and expectation on someone who just, you know, is like a member of a county assembly, you know, and that is what it is. That is what it is. Yes, a state legislature. So we know the value. So I want to say this, but I want to...
Honorable Dido Raso.
I want to say this.
Honorable Owen Baya, you will have your seat.
Honorable Speaker, the deputy leader of majority is standing in his place to cast aspersion on success of a lady in far waters. Is he in order to say that it is just a county assembly? That is not a Kenyan equivalent. That is the state of Minnesota, much, much bigger than the Republic of Kenya.
Yes, ma'am. Deputy Majority Leader, I know you want to withdraw that part.
Say this,
It's a big achievement for an immigrant.
Yes, yes, Honorable Speaker, it is such a big achievement for a Kenyan to be elected at the state legislature. But I want to say this, you know, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro keeps on saying things that cannot be empirically measured. The Republicans were in office. Africa, though may have favor, but Africans suffer. Africans suffer because the Republicans have a soft spot for African strongmen. They do not, Honorable Speaker, push for democratization of Africa. They support strongmen and dictators in Africa. And that is one. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, Republicans are known for a lean government. Lean government. Let me say, the Republicans are known for lean government, a lean government. Lean government means they will cut funding in education, they'll cut funding in health, they'll cut funding in social care. And these are facts, Honorable Speaker. These are facts. A Republican president in the United States means, therefore, although they will not give grants to Africa, they will be giving loans at very high rates, and the economies in Africa struggle. Economies, yeah, is that correct? Yes, economies in Africa struggle when we have a Republican in there. They will give you very expensive loans. They will stifle trade with China. They will ensure that no.
Honorable members, we are recording our compliments to a Kenyan who has won an election. We are not here to diagnose the policies of Democrats, Republicans. Really, you know how to approach that if you wanted to go that way. Can we have the Honorable Mulyungi?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not in the US. I'm on another subject. And I'll proceed on my subject. And I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy and Irrigation regarding utilization of funds allocated for sinking of boreholes in Mwingi Central Constituency. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44.2C, I wish to seek a statement from the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation regarding utilization of funds allocated for sinking of boreholes in Mwingi Central Constituency during the financial year 2023-24. This House allocated money for construction of boreholes across the country to alleviate the challenge of water shortage, especially in arid and semi-arid areas. This House didn't, as part of Parliament's endeavor to facilitate access to ordinary Kenyans to their economic rights as envisaged in Article 43(1)(d) of the Constitution of Kenya. Specifically, Honorable Speaker, the House didn't graciously provide funding for two boreholes, one at Kavoko Primary School and another at Kalesi Primary School in Mwingi Central Constituency. Each borehole was allocated 10 million, and the National Treasury didn't release the money to the implementing agency, namely Tana Hadi Waterworks Agency. Of note, Honorable Speaker, is that this money was allocated following the area residents' outcry during public participation in Kitui County on the 2023-24 budget. However, Honorable Speaker, the implementing agency commenced the drilling of the two boreholes and then route to the point of finding water and abandoned the works before completion, citing lack of funds. Honorable Speaker, the area is very dry and residents usually walk 10 kilometers to fetch water from the few seasonal rivers, which also dry up during prolonged dry seasons like now. Hence, the boreholes would greatly have eased the residents' burden for searching for water. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I now seek a statement from the chairperson and in particular request for the following information. Number one, why the implementation of the project was started without public participation of the local stakeholders and area residents who had in the first place requested the project. Number two, why construction of the 2 boreholes was halted before completion despite full funding having been allocated by Parliament and released for the purpose of by the National Treasury. Number three, when and how the boreholes were procured, details of contractors awarded, the tenders, contract sums, and scope of the contract. Number four, when the exercise will be completed and whether this could be expedited to alleviate the challenge of accessing water by the area residents. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Muliungi, your request for statement is directed at which committee?
The chairperson for Blue Economy and Irrigation.
The chairperson for the relevant committee. Is Honorable Rosa Buyu in that committee? Give her the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to confirm that I'm a member of that committee. My chair is engaged somewhere and is not in the House, but I want to confirm to the House that indeed I will relay the message or the question to him, and he will take due action as expected, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
By what time, Honorable Rosa Buyu?
Mr. Speaker, by the end of today, I will have relayed the message to him, and he will therefore be able to.
By what time should the House expect the response?
Mr. Speaker, would I be in order to request for 2 weeks, Mr. Speaker?
2 weeks, Honorable Muliungi?
That's okay, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, that's fine. Relay the message and let us have the
Mr.
response
Speaker,
within 2
thank
weeks.
you.
Yeah, thank you. The statement request by Honorable Catherine Omanyo, MP. The Chair, Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee is to respond. You have the response, Honorable Kirima. Do you have the response? Yes, I have. Yes, give Honorable Kirima the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. On behalf of the Chairman of Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Affairs, Foreign Relations Committee, in response to the request for a statement by Hon. Catherine Omanyo, MP, Busia County, regarding the status of the fishermen in Bundarangi, Kenya, Uganda border area. Mr. Speaker, sir, the member for Busia County, Honorable Catherine Omanyo, MP, sought for a statement pursuant to Standing Order 44, subsection 2, on the harassment, arrests, and detention of Kenyan fishermen by Ugandan authorities at the Kenya-Uganda border areas of Lake Victoria. She specifically raised the following concerns in a request for that statement. Steps being taken by the ministry with the government of Uganda to ensure that Kenyan fishermen in Lake Victoria are treated with respect and dignity, and that any disputes over fishing rights are resolved amicably and peacefully. B, statement, strategies put in place by the ministry to work with the Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization and other stakeholders to harmonize the fishing policies and procedures in the lake and to provide adequate support and protection to the fishermen, to the Kenyan fishermen. C, measures put in place to embrace security and sovereignty in the Lake Victoria and to collaborate with Ugandan authorities to prevent and punish any acts of harassment and extortion against Kenyan fishermen and by Ugandan authorities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee engaged the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs on the above concerns raised by Honorable Catherine Omanyo, MP. I therefore wish to respond to the issues as follows. Honorable Speaker, on the step being taken by the ministry to engage with the government of Uganda to ensure that Kenyan fishermen in Victoria are treated with respect and dignity, and that any dispute over fishing rights are resolved amicably and peacefully, the Kenyan embassy and its diplomatic staff have effectively mediated specific disputes by engaging with the Ugandan Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the Kenyan-Uganda joint ministerial meeting held in Nairobi on from 12th October to 14th May 2024. Stressed the need to address harassment of fishermen in Lake Victoria, and the meeting underscored the need to harmonize fishing laws and streamline the issues of fishing permits to improve accessibility. In 2022, the two countries also signed the Defense Cooperation Agreement in 2022 to address the harassment of Kenyan fishermen in Lake Victoria. The Minister of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs is actively overworking alongside other line ministries to ensure the effective implementation of these resolutions. Kenyan missions in Kampala and Dar es Salaam continue to protect Kenyan interests by liaising with authorities to ensure consular access to detained citizens. And furthermore, these missions collaborate closely with the diaspora associations of Kenya, in Uganda and Tanzania, maintaining continuous updates from associations officials on the status of any detained Kenyans. Security committees within counties bordering Lake Victoria have been briefed to remain vigilant in safeguarding the welfare of their citizens. All reported cases of arrests and diligently followed up with the aim of securing justice for these affected people. Honorable Speaker, on the strategies put in place by the Ministry to work with the Victoria Fisheries Organization and other stakeholders to harmonize the fishing policies and procedures on the lake and to provide adequate support and protection to fishermen, Kenyan fishermen. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya remains a committed member of the Victoria Fisheries Organization, an institution governed by the East African Community Treaty. Issues on Lake Victoria are primarily addressed at the bilateral level. Existing disputes concerning arrests have not been necessitated, escalated to regional forums. Kenya has established a robust mechanism to safeguard its interests under Lake Victoria, including frequent patrols by the Kenyan Coast Guards, conducted in collaboration with Tanzania and Ugandan counterparts. These coordinated patrols are intended to foster peace and the equitable utilization of the resources in Lake Victoria. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the measures put in place to ensure security and surveillance in the Lake Victoria and to collaborate with Ugandan authorities to prevent and punish any acts of harassment or extortion against Kenyan fishermen by Ugandan authorities, and in areas where jurisdiction lies within Kenyan waters, Kenyan authorities are fully empowered to investigate incidents and resolve issues through both administrative and diplomatic avenues. The regional administration ensures the safety and security of Kenyan citizens conducting business on Lake Victoria, and in instances involving foreign entities, matters are escalated through Kenyan High Commission in Uganda or the Ugandan High Commission in Kenya for a diplomatic response. I thereby submit and I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. For the Chairman, Nelson Koech. Thank you, sir.
The Honorable Catherine Omanyo. The Honorable Catherine Omanyo. Honorable
Thank you, Mr.
Makela,
Speaker.
when you stand on a point of order and you are not recognized, you go back to your seat and you remain silent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Because it would be disorderly if you continued in the manner you are continuing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was recently with the fishermen, and actually, since I read the statement, there's a lot that has improved. And I thank the committee and Department for Defense for having stepped in and done some real work on that to harmonize the situation. It is good that as good neighbors, Uganda and Kenya, we shouldn't intimidate each other, but we should do things that we accommodate each other so that both of us, whether Ugandan or Kenyan, if you do business in either of the country, then we enjoy, we progress in harmony. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Millie Odhiambo. I know matters blue economy.
Yes.
You have something to say?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for actually acknowledging that come from Suba North, and the issues that have been raised by Honorable Catherine Omanyo affect my constituency very much, especially because my constituency borders Tanzania and Uganda at Remba, Ringiti, and Mfangano Islands. And the issue of harassment of fishermen is a very common thing. And Mr. Speaker, I know that even yourself, you are somehow affected. And we have even raised this issue with His Excellency, the President, and he indicated that they are going to actually undertake diplomatic action to ensure that this issue doesn't occur. Mr. Speaker, maybe Honorable Manyo didn't even indicate, but there are times that our fishermen are forced to eat raw fish when they are taken or when they are arrested in the waters. And so I would only want to encourage that there was a time that the government, I think there was Mr. Masharia, who was a commissioner in Homa Bay County, if I remember well, he was transferred to Nakuru County. And Mr. Speaker, he did an excellent job at that level that involved all leaders at that level, members of parliament, governors, and the Ugandan counterparts. And this went down very, very much. We even had numbers of Ugandan counterparts. So I'm just encouraging the honorable member, I know I'm in defense and I'll raise it in my committee, that while we are still waiting for that, so that our fishermen are not harassed, if we could go back to that system, and as members we are willing to be having those quarterly meetings, because it reduced the level of harassment, the killings, the jailings, the hefty fines. One boat is arrested, and they are fined upwards of 100,000 shillings. Sometimes they call you as a member, and you can't pay for 10 boats. That's $1 million. How can you deal with things like that? So, Mr. Speaker, if the honorable member could just speak up that, so that even as we raise it in the committee, those would be short-term measures to deal with those concerns. Thank you.
The MP for Funyula.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. One, whatever happens in Budalangi actually happens in Funyula. The harassment that happens in Budalangi actually happens in Funyula. So whatever answer he has provided probably more or less touches on Funyula. Honorable Speaker, we want to be very clear. We are tired of harassment by the Ugandan Defense Forces. They call themselves UDF, Uganda Defense Forces. The amount of harassment and torture our members go through is unbearable. And as Honorable Millie Odhiambo has said, the cost to our fishermen, the cost to us as members of MPs is now becoming unbearable. I know there has been concerted efforts between the two governments to resolve the matter, but it would seem the level of discipline among the UDF soldiers is too low because of the bad conditions they live in. Honorable Speaker, many times those UDF soldiers at times do undertake those raids on their own without having been authorized by their seniors in Uganda. They do so because, Honorable Speaker, they harass and arrest our fishermen so that they can get money as a form of survival because they have no ways. They are never paid salaries and they never paid allowances. Honorable Speaker, I must commend the county commander and the county commissioner of Busia. Many times they have tried to, that they ask in Uganda is obnoxious, is extremely high, that our people are unable to afford. Honorable Speaker, the other strategy they have used is that they take the boats, those small boats, and destroy them. They damage and destroy them and actually burn them, Honorable Speaker. A peasant, a poor man from Funyula, from Dalangi, having spent almost 30 or 50,000 to fix a boat for survival, for livelihood, and then it's damaged. It's unbearable. It is now part of the problem of enhancing poverty in our area. We just hope now this time round, those concerted, I know even the Ugandan side there are also massive complaints. The other day we were at a place called Sigulu. I, the governor, the MP, Honorable Anjala, when we went to launch the water bus. And the Ugandan fishermen bitterly complained of harassment by the UDF soldiers. I'm aware they indicated to a certain extent that they have passed some regulation in their parliament that's not going to take the soldiers out of the lake and entrust policing and monitoring to ensure that the fishing regulations are adhered to be given to fisheries officers. We just hope that is going to solve the problem. But let me conclude and say this, Honorable Speaker. The fish in Lake Victoria has no passport. The fish in Victoria is not stamped, whether it's Kenyan, Ugandan, Tanzanian, or it came from River Nile, from wherever, or it came back through backflow. It is fish that belongs to the people of East African community. Many times, Honorable Speaker, the breeding is in Kenya. For example, the one fish that goes to the Ugandan side, the breeding somewhere called Sigalame, where River Suo enters Lake Victoria. They only breed, and then they go to feed in the deeper waters in Uganda. So when we follow our fish, we are not committing any offense at all. And then, Honorable Speaker, they are not demarcated borders in the lake. So you cannot know whether you are now in Uganda, you are still in Kenya, you are in Tanzania. We must leave this African community. Did not come for the sake of it. It was supposed to bring unity and harmony. We continuously urge the committee to deal with this matter conclusively, because I've raised this matter before. The answers have been given. Nothing has happened. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, the Honorable Kirima, your responses appear to be satisfactory. If there are any more inquiries or investigations or engagements the members want on the matter, the committee can move with them suo moto, and you still retain the mandate. But thank you very much. Honorable members, I want us to go to the next order. Honorable TJ Kajwang, you're not... what is the matter today?
Mr. Speaker, I'm waiting for business. I was here at 2:30. Up
Yes.
to now, the House has not transacted a single
So,
business.
next order.
No, this is not business.
You see, the Speaker is able to notice if there is a matter of concern for each and every member. Thank you, Honorable TJ Kajwang. Can you call the next order?
Order number 10, the Kenya Roads Board Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2024, second reading.
It has been moved. Mover to move. Kenya Roads Board Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2024. That is the bill being moved. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I meant Minority Whip.
Oh,
sorry, Honorable Owenbai.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the Kenya Roads Board Amendment Bill number 18 of 2018. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important piece of legislation. Honorable Speaker, it's a very small bill, but the amendments that we want to make on this bill are very significant and have high ramifications. Honorable Speaker, and I am happy that Honorable Kajwang, TJ Kajwang, actually reminded us that we need to go to business. We do too many preliminaries in this House than business, and I am happy that you have noticed that. Business now. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Roads Board Amendment Bill 2024 is a fantastic piece of legislation, and I just want to say what it is in a nutshell so that we can understand, so that as I move in the notes, we know what we are talking about. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Roads Board has, as it stands right now, I think 14 members, 13 members. But we know, Honorable Speaker, that we must reduce the number of board members to align ourselves to the mwongozo as given, so that we come to the required number. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we would like in this amendment, what we are trying to do is just to do one small thing. delete the word 8 and substitute with 5. Just that. Delete 8, substitute with 5. So that now we have 5 board members in the Kenya Road Board. And Honorable Speaker, the bill also continues in the schedule to do only one simple thing: remove some of the organizations that are supposed to sponsor members to the board. And which are these organizations that are losing membership? I think 3, because we are removing 3. We are the Kenya Institute of Surveyors of Kenya, the League of Kenya Women Voters, and the Kenya Association of Tour Operators. We remove those 3. We remain with 5. And then we add with the other 4. We have 9. And we are set, aligned. Simple. I don't want to use very many words in moving this moving this bill. So it is as simple as that. So, Honorable, yes, Honorable Speaker, if I like the question that Honorable Mili is. So, what are the institutions that will be nominating? The nominating institutions, if I remove the 3 I've suggested, is the Kenya Institute of Engineers of Kenya, the Automobile Association of Kenya, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and you know who are the leadership in the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Then we delete 4. We delete just those 3 and remain at the Kenya Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Kenya Transport Association. Honorable Speaker, that is as simple as it is, and I wouldn't want to belabor, but only to thank the committee. Probably I need to thank the committee, the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, for a job well done in compliance with constitutional and procedural requirements. I think the committee sat long hours and ensured that they have gone through the bill and they have given us these amendments, Honorable Speaker. And I also want to restate that we are trying to realign this law to the Mwongozo Code and the Constitution of Kenya so that all other parastatals that we have fewer members, so that we reduce governance, we reduce number of people, we don't have those huge allowances and paying a lot of money, so that we align. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want to re-emphasize that we are proposing to delete the word 8 and substitute with 5 in paragraph H. This amendment reduces the number of persons that are to be nominated by representative organizations for appointment to the board from 8 to 5. Just that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the MP for Bureti.
Before you move, does the board then now have 5 members or the other members of the board?
Of course, there are other members that come in the PSAs and all that, so that, you know, they make 9, okay? Thank you. So I beg to move and ask the MP for Bureti, who is a member of the Committee of Transport, to actually second. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. A member of the
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. As I second this bill, 2 things should come into mind: that the proposal by Mwongozo, the Code of Governance for State Corporations, provide for between 7 and 9 directors. Kenya Roads Board has 13 directors. So the reduction is first to align to Mwongozo, and the nominating bodies, some of them do not have any positions to be able to nominate these people. So the reduction is actually both to create a lean, efficient board to be able to carry out its mandate well. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, you will remember as you've read through the bill, is to actually clean up the bill to align it to the Constitution 2010 by removing the words like minister and replacing them with the word cabinet secretary. So to that extent, Mr. Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I do propose the question that the Kenya Roads Board Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 18 of 2024, be now read a second time. And before we do so, honorable members, allow me and join me in recognizing or welcoming the members, the students from Ngoswani Boarding Comprehensive School, Narok West, Narok County. They are welcome to follow the proceedings of this House this evening. The Honorable TJ, are you contributing?
Yes, I am. Mr. Speaker, the member for Kisumu
Sumu West, so wondered that this is not business. I mean, that everything that has been going on has not been business. I want to tell her that business begins when we do legislation. So this is now real business. All those that we have been engaged with since 2:30 has been, yeah, something else, but not business. Now, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the memorandum and the bill itself, you will see that some organizations have been listed there. The Institute of Surveyors of Kenya, for example, the League of Kenyan Women Voters, for example, the Kenyan Association of Tour Operators, for example. These are in Schedule 7.1, which defines the people that will nominate members to the board. At the point at which we transacted this business, Mr. Speaker, I remember you and I were in this house. We may have not had regard to the Mwongozo Code, and we may have considered persons who have nothing to do with the roads subsector. Institute of Surveyors, for example, League of Kenyan Women Voters, who I do not think they are a legal entity in the first place to be recognized in legislation. Kenyan Association of Tour Operators. This was a badly drafted bill at that time. And if you cared to look at what was the infamous finance bill, the infamous finance bill had these issues as miscellaneous amendments. But you know the fate of the the finance bill, and especially the Court of Law decided that that it was unconstitutional. So to that extent, we had a problem of legislation that we could not midwife these amendments in miscellaneous law. So we are now bringing them as a standalone legislation to be able to clean up that act and also to clean up Kenya Roads Board, because these have financial implications. When you have 13 directors, they'd have to be paid or to be facilitated to do their work. When you have 13 directors, there is decisional problems. 13 people are unable to make decisions where 9 people would have made that decision. Members, this is straightforward kind of legislation to be able to clean Roads Board. And you know, Roads Board is the board that is able to collect RLMF, which we need for the construction of our roads and in our constituencies and so on. And so when they have this structural problem, decisional problem, I think this is an issue that the leader of majority is trying to correct. And so I support this. Thank you.
Honorable Kajwang, could the members who want to speak this go to intervention so that we can easily separate them from the other members? The Honorable Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to support with amendments. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief, just as brief as the bill itself is. And I want to agree with Honorable Bayer that the issues that we are dealing with earlier are not considered as substantive business. The substantive business of the House begins now. And I think many members used to tell me before I became Minority Whip that they'd meet me at around this time, because I would come when it's time for substantive business of the House. But, Mr. Speaker, that doesn't mean that the issues that were being raised earlier are not substantive. For instance, we have spoken about issues of fishermen. That's substantive in itself, but they are not. It's like when you are meeting, there's an agenda and AOB. It says at Parliament, begins with the OOB, then goes to the substantive agenda. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the mover of the bill that if you look at some of the people who are put in the board, that they really didn't have any reason to be there. I know that I support women and the women's agenda, but having the Leave of Kenya women voters in the roads board does not really make sense. It would make sense if they are in a space that is political in nature or has something to do with women and representation. They are definitely registered, so they are a legal institute, perhaps. They may not be a body that is governmental in nature or semi-governmental in nature, but they are definitely registered, but they are in the wrong place. Having said that, the reason why I'm saying I would propose with amendments, and I know even though we want to follow the Mwongozo guidelines, but we must also still ensure that we have the 2/3 gender rule. And you have said that the Kenya manufacturers, we know the leadership right now is female. They are not cemented there. They will serve their time and they will move. We will never know. Maybe the leader there next time will be the CS for mining or something else. We don't know. And the person who will come after that may be a man. And if then we say that it's the CEO who comes to, and we don't ingrain the issue of gender, then it means you can actually have a system where everybody who sits are all male. Mr. Speaker, I have said that there is a lot of good things coming out of Africa. So let us set the agenda for the world. Let us do the right things for the world by setting up good governance standards. If countries like America can't do it, who said the South can set the agenda? Let us set the agenda by telling them that we are more inclusive. We are gender inclusive, we are inclusive of youth, we are inclusive of persons with disability. And so for me, the amendment that I'm going to bring has to do with inclusion, so that the parts that you may not change, like PSS, you can't change whether PS who comes is a man or woman because they would already have been appointed. But when we are talking about these bodies, then you can tell them to appoint in a manner that reflects the ethnic face of Kenya, or rather the face of Kenya by ethnicity, that represent gender, that represent youth, that represents age and all those factors. Otherwise, I support with amendments.
Members, this is a very straightforward one. I thought this one we should be concluding in less than 10 minutes. Who wants to speak? Yeah, this one we should be done with as fast as possible. The Honorable Mwashako.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. As you've alluded to, and it was alluded by the mover, that this is a straightforward bill, but I just wanted to put my voice on a few things. Number one, Honorable Speaker, is that Kenya Roads Board is a very important board in this country, that we look forward to seeing that the board that manages, the sector, road sector in this country has the right people. And Honorable Speaker, when I look at a board like Kenya Roads Board, indeed moving the numbers from 13 to 9 in line with the Mwongozo principle is a good thing. And it does not only save the country money, but it also makes decision-making easier and faster, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to corporate governance, Honorable Speaker, we must, as Parliament, and we must raise our voice so that these boards, as they come into office, they must realize that they are not there to run day-to-day issues. They are there to manage, and take care of all the stakeholders in the sector they operate in. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the board that will come to run the road sector in this country, we know for a fact that we have so many roads projects that have been pending. We know challenges that we've had with the bodies under Kenya Roads Board, that is KERA, KURA, and KENHA. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, Kenya Roads Board has a bigger mandate to make sure that even the resources that go to these, the authorities is well balanced. Because we find, Honorable Speaker, almost all money is going to KENHA, and KERA has so many roads that they're not able to manage, not only to maintain, but they're not able to even improve the roads that are under KERA. And therefore, Kenya Roads Board plays a bigger mandate to make sure that the authorities under them get resources that facilitate their work, and not only just get resources to facilitate their work, they're also able to manage equity, because we see, and we've had hue and cry in this country, where some areas of this country have been complaining that they don't see the resources that go to roads in their areas. And therefore, Kenya Roads Board needs to raise above board and able to even to bring here to Parliament, to bring reports that show how roads budget have been cut across the entire country. Honorable Speaker, I'll tell you, and this discussion, I've had it not only with a number of MPs here, I've also discussed it with the Deputy Majority Leader, whereby you realize that there are areas of this country that every year, every budget, they have billions of money, and we have other areas, constituencies and counties that only have paltry, less than 100 million, and another constituency has 40 billion shillings. And therefore, Kenya Roads Board must, and this board that we're talking about here today, must raise above board and endeavor to bring in the aspect of equity in this country, so that every Kenyan and every region of this country can feel that the board membership are able to raise above, where they come from. Because there's this understanding where a member of the Kenya Roads Board comes, then money starts flowing immediately into the areas. And therefore, corporate governance will detail that they raise above board, they're able to look at the country as one country, they're able to look at areas that have been marginalized, that have remained behind. For instance, Chair, I want to mention that there are constituencies in this country that have no tarmac roads. And yet, if you follow through, you realize that Kenya Roads Board does not even realize that there are those constituencies in this country that have no tarmac roads. And they continue pushing money into counties that are already developed, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I want to say that as I support this bill, that even as we get, we should get the right people to sit in these boards, so that then we can get this country moving, we can get the country to the next level, where every board in this country is able to practice the principles of good corporate governance. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Eric Muchangi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I will begin by saying that this is a very straightforward bill. And Honorable Speaker, it seeks to align the composition of the board to the Mwongozo Code of Governance. And therefore, it is actually also going to save our country lots of resources and bring about order, and also expunge or remove those that are not actually very, very necessary from the board. And I believe that this is what is required of us to do as Parliament, to align this board to what is expected of the Constitution. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, I wish to say that this board, the Kenya Roads Board, has a lot to do, because from what I see from my constituency, and especially where we have the county government and the national government being expected to act on and do the roads within our jurisdiction, there is a lot of conflict sometimes that occurs when the county government insists that some roads will be attended to by the national government. But when we see what they are doing is that the county government and the governors want to take all the share of the resources that can actually be utilized by the offices of the members of Parliament or the constituencies to ensure that our roads are done properly and timely. Honorable Speaker, I would recommend that going forward that we as a House need to look at how entities like Kenya Urban Roads Authority and Kenya Rural Roads Authority operate, in that KERA has a committee, the Constituent Roads Committee, that allows the offices of members of Parliament to properly and adequately oversight the implementation of road projects in our constituencies. But there are always challenges when it comes to Kenya Urban Roads Authority, because they are domiciled mostly in Nairobi and sometimes in offices in the region that are not very much in touch with our constituencies. And you'll always find that there are challenges when it comes to oversighting those roads, and that does not always go very well with the people. So Kenya Roads Board, Kenya Roads Board has a lot to do, and I wish to support this amendment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Makilap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you for this opportunity. And I have abandoned what I was about to do previously because of the goodwill of our majority leader. Mr. Speaker, I want to, first of all, support this amendment. Mr. Speaker, this is the right way to go as we follow the Mongoso principle of management of our parastatals. Mr. Speaker, there is need to have a very lean, qualified board that will be able to discharge their duties, Mr. Speaker, in a manner that is fair and transparent. Mr. Speaker, it is time that boards of parastatals shall not become dumping ground of politicians or entities who could be going there to look for money or other things. We need to professionalize the boards of parastatals to ensure efficiency, effectiveness in their mandate. This board, this Kenya Roads Board, Mr. Speaker, why I'm passionate about it, Mr. Speaker, this was the brainchild of the Member of Parliament from Baringo North, one engineer, Andrew Kiptun, in 1997. Mr. Speaker, you can see that brain of one engineer, Andrew Kiptun, that has revolutionized the road sector. It is from his idea that we now have from road sport to now extended authorities, the Kera, the Kura, the Kena, and by extension, this board disperses resources to KWS roads that's up in our game backs. It tells you, Mr. Speaker, that this board has a higher mandate to ensure that the resources reach the authorities in good time. Because this is the body that disperses the money called RMLF, the money that we collect from additional money that we charge on fuel. Mr. Speaker, we want to see growth of infrastructure, the roads in Kenya, across the Republic of Kenya, to be spread in as far as possible to the areas that has been perceived as marginalized for some years, Mr. Speaker. Because the fuel that Kenyans are fueling their cars today, Mr. Speaker, has a component of close to 25 shillings. And these resources through Kera, through Kura, and Kena and KWS must reach all the corners of our country. I agree with the Speaker that spoke before me, that Kenya Roads Board, the board must not also become corrupt or be people who would want to be enticed by the authorities so that they keep money based on how their friendship with the director generals of the authorities, of the road authorities, or becomes a negotiated tool where you negotiate for what must go to Kura, what should go to Kena. I think, Mr. Speaker, we need to now revise the sharing of the sharing formula of the resources to Kura, Kena, and Kera, because there are many roads that serve the people of Kenya under Kera. Most of the roads that are urban today were those who are established. So, Mr. Speaker, we also want to review. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader needs to pay attention on this. Mr. Speaker, this board must now review classification of roads so that they bring more roads that are under county governments, that are poorly managed, that are impossible. Bring them back to Kera so that they can be financed under Kera, Because we have seen, Mr. Speaker, the roads that are done under care in our constituencies are done properly, Mr. Speaker. But the ones that are in the county government, in fact, to a state where counties where they find a road that has been done under care, they go and put a banner to say it is county governments who have done. Mr. Speaker, this Kenya Roads Board, Mr. Speaker, the leader majority at least has come back. This point is very important. We need again now to do reclassification of our roads so that they can now go to Kera and Kenya. We bring more roads from the county governments because they are unable to do it. And this is the board that must do it. So, Mr. Speaker, reducing the numbers and making it effective and qualified, Mr. Speaker, it means we shall have an efficient board. I also call upon the leader of majority and government to go ahead and sort out other boards that are excess, that are not in accordance to Mongoso, so that we save more money for medicine. We save more money to go to infrastructure of schools. The CPC curriculum is getting strained because of lack of resources. So when we reduce the boards across, which are excess, we shall have enough savings to be able to finance other programs that are critical in this particular country, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is straightforward, but I call upon the majority leader and the government to expeditiously move and bring amendment in all other boards so that they are reduced to the correct number and become effective, Mr. Speaker. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Makilab. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi will be followed by Honorable Gichim, who would be the last contribution before the mover replies.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the matter at hand is very critical in the learning of the corporate institutions of this country. From the outlet, I do support the amendment that has been brought forward. But, Mr. Speaker, I am more concerned not with the numbers. I'm concerned with the performance of state corporations. Mr. Speaker, Kenya Loans Board plays a very critical role in managing finances that have been collected by taxpayers through the fuel levy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is like Kenya Loans Board learns a secret business because you never know when they will do their classifications. Mr. Speaker, you never hear open communication that they are calling out classification of loans, Mr. Speaker. It's a worrying trend. I'm calling upon the Kenya Loans Board as we move forward, they must come up with a schedule of classification of loans, Mr. Speaker. Because if you go to Kenya Loans Board right now, you'll find some loans that are not
Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113(2) of Constitution and Standing Orders 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the National Rating Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 5th November 2024, and approves the mediated version of the National Rating Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, the bill is sponsored by the Leader of Majority Party and seeks to enhance property rating systems at the county level and align national and county interests in property taxation. The Mediation Committee was formed under Article 112(2)(b) of the Constitution to reconcile the differences arising from the amendments proposed from the Senate to the bill. The Senate proposed the amendment key clauses in the bill, which changes primarily intended to enhance clarity, streamline processes, and ensure cooperative governance between national and county levels. The Mediation Committee has reviewed each of these amendments carefully, deliberated extensively, and made informed resolutions. Key areas of agreement and the mediation. Under Clause 2, definitions, the Mediation Committee accepted to revise definition of valuation role and insert the definition of the chief government valuer, proposed by the Senate to improve clarity. However, the Mediation Committee did not adopt the Senate's proposal to redefine occupier, as existing provisions sufficiently define the term. On Clause 12, Clause 20, Clause 30, and Clause 32, the Mediation Committee agreed with the amendments proposed from the Senate regarding consultation with the Council of Governors to foster collaboration and accountability between national and county levels. Under Clause 32, the Mediation Committee adopted the amendments proposed from the Senate that requires county assemblies to approve valuation roles within the specified time frame, adding predictability to the property valuation process. Honorable Speaker, clauses not adopted, and there are various reasons. Under Clause 56, the Mediation Committee did not adopt the amendments proposed from the Senate to standardize technological systems across counties for valuation roles preparation, respecting counties' autonomy to choose suitable systems based on individual needs. Under Article 34, the Mediation Committee proposed an alternative approach amendment proposal from the Senate by redrafting subclause 6 to establish a structured process for handling objections to valuations involving County Valuation Board before disputes escalate to a tribunal. New clauses for enhanced framework. New clause 24A on the chief government valuer. The committee adopted the proposal to introduce a clause to establish the office of the chief government valuer to provide an advisory role essential for consistent national guidance on property valuation. New clause 30A on supplementary valuation role. The Mediation Committee adopted amendments proposed from the Senate to delete and separate certain subclauses under clause 30 and redraft them as clause 30A that will contain specific provisions regulating preparation of supplementary role to enhance clarity. Mr. Speaker, conclusion and the recommendation after a thorough process of analysis and negotiations, the Mediation Committee believes that the proposed resolutions balance the interests of both houses and serve the purpose of advancing efficient property rating across the counties. I urge this House, Mr. Speaker, to adopt the report of the Mediation Committee as it represents a collaborative effort to strengthen governance in property rating and valuation, ensuring accountability and consistency across our counties. Honorable Speaker, I move and request Honorable George Ndungu, who is a member of Lands Committee, to second. Thank you.
The Honorable Joe to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second this